Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast where a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist get together to explore health and wellness from 3 different healing perspectives. I'm Elizabeth, registered dietitian and certified intuitive eating counselor.
I'm Maria, licensed mental health therapist.
And I'm Tara, personal trainer. We believe in finding ways to nourish a healthy relationship with our mind and body, eating for well-being, not weight, finding joy in moving our bodies, and embracing and understanding our emotions. We are here to help you redesign your relationship with food, fitness, and yourself.
How great would it be if you got science-based guidance from qualified professionals instead of trying out conflicting, overhyped, and unproven trends?
If that sounds as awesome to you as it does to us, join us every week as we dig into strategies to enrich and enhance our day-to-day life and health.
And let's start rebranding your wellness journey.
This episode is brought to you in part by our affiliate relationship with Audible. You may not know this about the three of us, but we are big time readers and we love Audible, especially Elizabeth. She's a big fan of the audiobooks.
I love audiobooks. I have one going all the time and I get so many books in that way. Makes me so happy to listen while I'm doing other things.
Yeah, it really does make the time pass quickly when you're like washing dishes and also listening to something awesome. So, guys, if you want to take advantage of this, we have a free 30-day trial. If you go to our link, audibletrial.com/wellness rebranded, you will get 1 credit or 2 credits if you're already a Prime member, good for any premium selection title, and you get to keep those. You'll also get the entire Audible catalog of podcasts, books, guided wellness, originals, and you'll have unlimited listening, and it will help us keep the show going for you. So please check out our link in the show notes.
Welcome back to another episode of Wellness Rebranded. We have a dear friend of all of ours with us today, Julie Blamphin.
Yes.
So we're super excited to talk to her. You guys are going to love her. Julie is obsessed with cartwheels and alone time. She's been featured in AARP The Ethel, LIVESTRONG Magazine, The Leading Lady Podcast, Baltimore Banner, The Dr. Kinney Show, and Pelvic Health Support Canada, among others. Julie began teaching yoga at 12 years old in her mother's School of Gymnastics in upstate New York. She inspires women to feel joyful, stable, and sexy through movement and stillness. She's an inspirational speaker, a retreat leader, and the founder of Stretch Your Spirit. So, Julie, welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, ladies. This is already so fun. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
And we're happy that you're here. We've been talking about having you in this podcast, and I'm happy it's happening.
Yes, it's about time, right? Let's party.
About time.
Yeah, and you are one of those people that we could have on, and this conversation could go in so many different directions because you have so much wisdom and knowledge and inspiration to share with us. So why don't you tell our listeners who don't know you as well as we do, tell them a little bit about you and the most important things you want them to know.
Awesome. I will. Well, like Elizabeth mentioned, my name is Julie Blamphin and I'm a yoga pro. I've been teaching yoga ever since I could do a cartwheel, and that's a long time ago. I have been a career yogi for probably about 20 years now. I started teaching private practice, mostly women, about 15 years ago. And actually some of those women are still practicing with me today. About 2 years ago, I asked them, why do you stay with me? Why are we still practicing together? Why are you still here? And they said, Julie, you teach me how to practice yoga in my real life. So that's what I call my membership program now. And I'm super excited to be launching yet another opening for my membership, Yoga in Real Life. So I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. More than yoga, I've been super excited about leading women's retreats. I'm leading my 7th one in May of 2024. And I'm really excited about that because not only, and if you Google Stretch Your Spirit and read the reviews, not only are these women experiencing amazing transformations and deep rest and incredible bonding and healthy moments, but so am I. I didn't expect that.
Mhm.
Years ago when I started leading these retreats, I thought, oh, this will be cool. I'll get to travel. I'll get to, practice yoga on groovy locations. So this is a wonderful supplement to my career. And then on the last night of my first retreat, everything changed. And I talk about this in the book that was just launched a couple of days ago. We Lead.
Hey.
I know, I'm chapter 2. And so I reveal what happened on that last night of my first retreat. And basically it was my own transformation of like practicing what I preach. I've been teaching so long that just this doesn't even seem like my work. It doesn't even seem like my career. It just seems like a part of who I am as a human. And until I started doing the work that I'm asking the women to do, it wasn't like I was just posing. It wasn't like I was just kind of going through the motions, but I was really leading with a little bit of fear, a little bit of hiding. I was dimming my light. And I feel that now that I've really got it, I really understood what I was asking them to do by opening their heart and being vulnerable and authentic and all that really scary, hard shit. I now am doing that and I get it. So I'm understanding. My point is what I do. That's what I do. I'm asking women to really dig deep and be brave and be willing to be still and soft and sexy and wiggly. I want you to dance. I want you to lie on the ground and gaze at the stars. And I want you to really feel your sacred feminine. And until I started doing that work a couple of years ago, that's what I've been teaching. But now I can really say that I love what I do because I love what I am now practicing as well, instead of just preaching. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and your
Yeah.
program is so aptly named because anyone who spends any time with you in real life knows you actually are literally doing yoga in real life all the time. We'll be in a meeting and you will get up and you'll stretch your back, or you'll like start speaking and like have everyone take a deep breath before anyone even says anything else. And so you truly do practice what you preach. And one of the things that I learned, you've totally changed my perspective on yoga. I tell you this all the time. I love yoga, but I very much thought of it as the poses I do on the mat. And you were like, well, no, that's maybe one tiny branch
Part
of
of it.
yoga, but it's so much bigger than that. So can you expand on that idea for our audience? Like, what is it really then? If it's not really the poses on the mat, what the heck is it?
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
I love that that's your perspective and your aha moment through knowing me. And I really value that feedback, Elizabeth, because I can't tell you how often I've heard people say, oh, I can't practice yoga. I'm not flexible. Or,
I hear that all
oh,
the
I can't practice yoga because I can't lean on my hands. It hurts my wrists. Or I can't practice yoga. I can't go upside down or whatever. Or on the other end of the spectrum, hey, I would love to practice yoga with you because I need to tone my arms or I need to strengthen my core. And I'm like, okie dokie. And then in no time flat, that workout, if you will, that they're coming for turns into a work in that they didn't even realize that they needed. And that's like so
Okay, wait a
cool.
second. So when your workout becomes a work in, I love the idea of that, but go further. What do you mean?
Well, when we get to the mat, yes, we're going through the motions. Yes, we're doing a pose after a pose after a pose, and that's all good and fine. And, the side effect of that is toning and stronger core. But we also can take ourselves to a place where we're just pausing and feeling peace. I mean, it's really as simple as that, but it doesn't mean it's easy, right?
Yeah.
So many of us out there are really powerful. We're really getting shit done. We're moving quickly. We are career women. We're busy moms. We're badass. And how often do we just pause and slow the fuck down and take a deep breath and go inward and say, you know what? I don't really need to do those 17 other things on my to-do list. I'm just going to leave that for tomorrow or maybe next week. I'm good right here, right now. I am enough. I've done enough, and I'm going to rest and put my feet up on the sofa and ask someone to bring me a cool glass of water or whatever we need to do to say, I'm okay right here, right now. I'm just going to stop. And so that's what we practice when we get to the yoga mat. Yes, we're moving. Yes, we're posing, but often we're just getting into poses where we can close our eyes, let go, surrender, trust, breathe, and just be. And that's when something sort of clicks. And I like to call it within the yoga self, within that inner life of our witness that we hopefully are cultivating during our yoga journey. And we're able to really tap into that divine power that we have within us. And then that can take over in those moments, and hopefully in the moments in real life where we say, okay, I'm going to put that to-do list down. Or, okay, I'm going to just say no to this person asking me to do something that I just know that I don't want to do. Or I'm going to go out for a walk instead of keep plowing through all this work. All of these moments take mindfulness, take awareness, take pause, take surrender, because the mind is a really powerful tool. And the mind will continue to tell us, keep getting your shit done. Don't go for the walk. You don't have time right now, or maybe you do have time, but just don't do it. And we don't even consciously know that the mind is saying that, but the mind is connected to the ego perhaps. And the ego wants us to keep plowing ahead. The ego wants us to get on the mat and go through all the poses for that physical workout. Typically, we don't just want to get on the mat, close our eyes, be supported by a block and a blanket, and just breathe and smile and let the tears roll down our cheeks.
No, that's exactly.
We don't typically want to do that, right?
Yeah.
That can be scary because often we're like, whoa, if I slow down, what am I going to find?
That's
What's
actually
going to
my
bubble up?
favorite thing about yoga is like, yes, the poses and the things, whatever. But at the end, when we do Shavasana, I feel like I'm not asleep, but I'm also not fully conscious. And it feels to me like while I'm trying to just breathe and clear my mind, like ideas and answers to problems I've been wrestling with and stuff just go like zinging around my brain. And it's almost hard to like hold on to it once I come back to the world. But I like that feeling, and I don't think that that's fully possible for me without going through the, first 40 minutes of a yoga class.
Exactly.
Lay there and get into that state, and I can't do it.
Yeah. And often it's more effective with a guide, which is why I love what I do. I love to lead you through something that might be strong and powerful and with lots of movement and lots of details along the way to get you really focused and to tap into that sixth chakra. I'll talk about chakras in a second, but to tap into that energy of sight and vision and intuition and focus. We have to focus if we're stepping forward with a foot. If I say, hey, step that left foot forward and heel toe out toward the left side of the mat, make sure your knee's over your ankle and let's turn that back foot on a 45. If I'm going to cue you like this, I wouldn't be doing it that quickly, but you are in the moment, right? Mm-hmm. You're focusing on, wait, is this my right leg or my left? And you're focusing on where is my knee, because safety, right? So if you're staying in the moment and you're practicing going with that flow, especially if you're following a guide, that's where you are. That's the only thing happening in that moment. You are focusing. You are cultivating that focus because of all these body parts and all these places and spaces that you're going to on the mat. And then we get to that place of calm and we say, okay, right now, time to pause, time to breathe. And that space, that energy of focus is like, woohoo, that was awesome. All that movement. Now you're going to rest. And that energy of focus is like, okay, I'm on fire right now. I've got all these beautiful things that I'm seeing, maybe all these beautiful things that I'm deciding upon, maybe all these beautiful things that are coming to me that I might have been trying to find in my wakeful state. But now that I'm in this deep place, because my body is all jacked up and all energized and tingling, but still, some of that energy will come to you with all the answers. I mean, I love to tell people, quit trying so hard to freaking find them.
Yeah.
They'll come.
Yeah.
Just pause and feel peace and let them come. So that's one of the things that I hear a lot. Like, I get so much inspiration in Shavasana. It's so true. It's so true. A lot of people say, "Oh, I can't sleep," or I have trouble falling to sleep, or I get to sleep and then I wake up at 3 a.m. every night. But I go to yoga and we lie flat on our back on the floor, and I'm out like that for 4 minutes and I'm just down. Yeah, it's your nervous system. It's a
So
beautiful thing.
I hear you talking, Julie, and it makes me think that what you're proposing here is not just a yoga class, it's like a lifestyle. What I've learned from you is you were talking about clicking and tapping into areas of myself that I really didn't explore much before I met you. And it comes with that pause, but also that connecting with yourself in different ways. And you mentioned the sexy part. I've explored areas of me that I don't think at age 46 I explored before I started coming to workshops with you. And I've been to yoga classes, so I know the poses, but this goes beyond that, at least for me, from a customer client standpoint, it goes beyond that. And what you are proposing with Stretch Your Spirit and your retreats is something that you can incorporate in your day-to-day life that is going to bring that pause and that connection with yourself more, which is so beneficial and impactful to our well-being, overall well-being, really.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. It really is more than the poses. So getting back to what is it really? What is the difference between the workout and the work-in? It's you connecting with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people say things to me, like I mentioned before, "Oh, I can't practice yoga because I don't, I can't afford the studio, or I don't have any yoga pants, or I don't know how, or I'm not good," right? So many people, "Oh, I'm not good at yoga." I'm like, first of all, there's no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as good, better, best. Really?
Like with dancing, there's no good, better with
Yeah.
dancing.
Oh, trust me,
Yeah.
they're bad.
We've talked about this, but
It has my name on it.
same with yoga. I mean, yes, there's not good or right way
Yeah.
of doing this.
That's right. Yes.
By the way.
So that's the definition of yoga. I like to say it's just you connecting with you. But it's a practice, because some days we're like, "Oh, I'm a hot mess." And that's okay.
I don't want to connect with myself today.
Exactly. Right. But and I love to say, if I didn't practice yoga, I'd be a hot mess all the time.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
practice yoga and I
Right.
connect with myself and I give myself grace along the way, so I can continue, so I can stay motivated, so I can stay positive, so I can stay something besides cranky and bitchy and reactive all the time and impatient. Because shit, I'm 56. And so menopause is what it is. And being a woman has its powers, right? I think that one of our superpowers is emotion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that hot mess, is that sacred power of like, what is this that I'm feeling? I can't even control it. That is awesome. That is our sacred feminine. And so connecting with that can keep us moving through and balancing physically, mentally, emotionally, mind, body, spirit, whatever we need to balance and whatever we need to move through. It's a practice.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why I just loved your introduction to yoga as you see it is because it resonates so deeply with the work that I do, right? Which is like really connecting with your body and being embodied and trusting yourself and listening to your body. And so that really vibed, with me and my philosophy. But one question I wanted to ask you, so I know that you are really passionate about talking about vulnerability. And I'm curious from your perspective how that's connected to our wellness.
When I was younger, in high school, I was bullied. And whatever, you move through it. And I never realized that it impacted me until that last night of my first retreat, when I realized one of the reasons why I wasn't vulnerable was because I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid they wouldn't like me. I was afraid that they would turn away or think that what I was saying was silly, or somehow want me to dim my light. And that's hard, but that's my choice. That's not anybody around me. And it's not my bullies. It's not their responsibility to now allow me to have a fulfilling life and a balanced life. It's my responsibility. Even if I am judged, that's not my problem. It's not any of my business. If somebody doesn't like what I say or do or anything about me, that's none of my concern. It's none of my business. It's not my problem if I'm judged. It's the problem of the judge. Being vulnerable allows us not only to let go, I think, of judgment of ourselves and maybe shame that can be associated with that, but it also allows us to connect deeply with other people. And even though it's still pretty scary for me, and I'm an introvert, and I still get really nervous when I'm vulnerable, and I have hearing loss. And so when I'm in crowds where I know it's an opportunity to connect and to network and to hug and have conversations, it's still difficult, but I know that it's so enriching, not just for me, but for those around me. I need you to know that it's okay. You can say anything. I've said some stuff that I'm sure is difficult for others to hear. Part of my story is trauma, sexual trauma. That's never easy to hear, especially with so many women being part of the Me Too movement and feeling those same feelings that associate with that. But I'm still sharing my truth.
Right.
I'm still sharing my truth. It's part of my journey. It's part of my connection with myself, which, again, by the way, is kind of the definition of yoga. So practicing yoga in real life, physically, mentally, emotionally, in all the ways, it's not just going through the poses. I love going through some poses, don't get me wrong. But I also love to just stare outside at the falling leaves and breathe. I also love to have a mantra, affirmation that I use to keep me focused, to keep me feeling free and positive. I also have techniques that I practice to help me sleep. I also have techniques to practice to help tap into my parasympathetic nervous system so I can feel calm and groovy, and so I can digest appropriately and rest and feel like not such a hot mess.
Julie, something that really vibes with me about your yoga in real life program is that I have clients come to me all day and say, I don't have an hour for exercise.
Yeah.
I can't make the time to go to a gym and do this thing, and it's going to take too much out of my day. And of course, my response is always like, well, do what you can. Don't make it take a whole hour. In fact, it probably doesn't need to take a whole hour for most people. But you take that even a step forward and make it yoga in everyday life, right? Like right at your home, right in the moment. It's not even like, well, let's go work out for 15 minutes. It's let's just breathe and do a quick stretch here while I'm doing this other thing, or while I just have a second to wait. And it makes it so much more attainable for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to bring. That's what I wanted to get through to you is you don't have to go to a studio. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to go buy the fancy pants and the fancy mat. You can. That's awesome. That's fine. But you don't need to. You're moving and grooving through life every single day, all the time, just like the rest of us. So why don't we practice along the way? If you're going to be a commuter, there's a lot of stuff that you can practice along that commute to stay healthy and balanced, mind, body, and spirit. If you are sitting in a chair right now, let's just scooch our butt back right now. If you're sitting in a chair, scooch your butt back right now. Go ahead. I'm doing it too. Sit up a little taller. Plant your feet. If your feet aren't touching the ground, that's okay. Put them on something if they can reach that ledge at the bottom of the kitchen stool or whatever you're sitting on, then plant your feet, bring your palms down on your thighs, drop your shoulders and drop your chin ever so slightly and lift through the crown of your head. Just make the back of your neck a little bit longer. And then let's reach one arm up in the sky and drop it over the head. Bring those fingertips right above the ear and pull the head just an eensy bit. Pull, just an eensy bit, but push the head into the hand. So you're pulling and pushing, relax the other shoulder, pulling and pushing that head, relax the other shoulder. So many of us look at devices at some point during our day, maybe all day, right? And so the neck and the jaw holds so much tightness. We're pushing and pulling. One more breath here. Pushing and pulling, and then let it go. Let's reach the other arm up and drop it up and over the head. Bring the fingertips right up and over the ear. Pull that head gently, but push the head into the hand at the same time. Pull and push. Breathe, drop the other shoulder. Gently. This is something that I do when I'm writing. I just lean right back. I scooch my bum back and I do a little bit of this neck stretch, but the pulling and pushing is a little secret here. Giving you a little inside scoop of one of my yoga and real life practices for my members. One more deep breath here, pulling and pushing on that neck, and then come back up to neutral. Palms are down, take a nice deep breath. Whoo, sigh it out and smile. So along the way, whether we're sitting in a chair or we're walking around and we're in the park and we can stop and do a stretch against a tree, or we can just pause and stare at the falling leaves, or we can smile at someone, or we can compliment someone. Anytime we can to practice that yoga in real life. Somebody commented today or maybe yesterday on Facebook about not feeling so sexy anymore. And I said, you know what? It's practice. And she's like, wait a minute, explain. What is that? What? I said, well, the majority of women along the way tend to disconnect from their sexuality, and they tend to shelf it, to be honest with you. Like, there are so many women who are like, yeah, I don't even go there anymore. I don't touch it. I don't talk about it. I don't use it. And I'd love to remind you that sexuality is an energy that you have. It's an energy that you're born with, an energy that you will die with. You will always have sexual energy, and it's something that you can cultivate. So we were talking about this a little bit ago, Maria, about there's more to our yoga practice than toning the arms and moving through the poses and sleeping better and feeling really calm and groovy. We can cultivate our sexual energy. We can cultivate our clarity, that energy all about focus and intuition and imagination. We can cultivate our motivation and our willpower, the energy that's right at the solar plexus. I love to call it our sunshine, right at the center of self, that place of the fire in the belly. So much of life is pushing. Sometimes that energy there is just a little bit too bright. So we can focus energy that takes us down and makes us feel nice and calm and groovy. So there's all these different kinds of energy that we're carting around with us through life. And sometimes we're just ignoring this capacity that we have. Loving compassion, loving kindness, it's always there. Offer that to somebody who drives you crazy. There's a yoga practice for you. Offer that to somebody who you don't even agree with. It's good for the universe and it's good for you. It's love. It's yoga.
So one thing, first of all, that felt really good what we just did with the head.
Loved it.
And it takes a few minutes and you might realize how tense you are in that neck that you didn't know until you start practicing these things. And then you know that's an area that needs a little more care. Number two, another seed that you planted for me was that about sexiness, right? And it's not something that we do for anybody else. We do it for ourselves. And
Correct.
like you said, if it's an energy that is there and, you know, we've been like blocking it or repressing it, when it comes out, there's so many possibilities that open up when you, again, tap into different areas of yourself and realize that you can, again, connect with yourself in many ways that you never thought before. So I appreciate you mentioning this on this episode, and I didn't want us to finish without you mentioning that, because in my case, again, 46, and I don't think I've talked about my sexiness in years, and it's being dormant, sleeping until I met Julie. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this is something that is important for my well-being and for the relationship with myself and my self-confidence and my self-love, is also explore that.
Yeah.
So tell us briefly a little more, how can somebody explore this sexiness, or how you call it? How can we bring our sexy back in simple ways
Hold on,
without
Julie.
thinking of sex? It
Just
doesn't
very-
have to be sex. It can be anything.
Maria, Julie helped me after I had MAVs. I was recovered. My pelvic floor was healthy-ish. But I was like ready to jump back into like the sexiness world, and my libido was gone. It had left the building. I was not at all interested in that, which bums me out, because before I had MAVs, I liked doing those things. Like that was fun. And so I went to see Julie, and we did some yoga poses and some stretching and pelvic floor stuff too. But she gave me this tip that I thought was so weird at the time. And I'm like, how the heck is this going to be effective? But like, shockingly, it was so easy and so effective. And Julia, you probably don't even remember this, but your advice to me was to like channel water into sexiness. So anytime I was like washing my hands, it was like, ooh, feel that water on my skin. like washing dishes, like this plate is so
laughing because of the
smooth.
motions and the face you're making.
It makes sense, like taking a shower, probably.
Yeah, like, oh, taking a shower with water.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little deeper, Julie. Hold on. That makes I've never heard this before, but it makes so much sense, because you said that, and it's the flowiness, if that's even a word. The flow of the water is represents that flow of that energy. If you're talking about the sexiness energy, how we need to
look at washing my hands the same again.
Excellent. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, you are right. You are right,
This
Elizabeth.
happens a lot. They get derailed for a minute.
You're right. Maria, you're totally right. It is the flowiness. So here's the thing. Think of nature, right? Where is your earth energy? Maybe at the bottoms of your feet, because that's where you're connected to the earth, right? So we have these energies that tap in different ways. We have these elements of the earth, of water, of fire. Where's the fire? It's right at your solar plexus. Where is our water energy? It's those energies or chakras in yoga language, around our sexual organs, around our sexual space. Now think about us as women. We are sacred sexual creatures. This is what sets us apart. This is what makes us us, right? Our beautiful sacred feminine sexuality. And the fact that there are, and I'm not kidding when I say the vast majority, and I've interviewed hundreds of women, I've worked with hundreds of women in my career, and just about all of them, and I'm exaggerating, but not really, says that they have at some point felt totally disconnected from their sexuality and totally disconnected from their efforts behind feeling sexy and sexual activity and connecting with their vulva and with their vagina and masturbation and orgasm and penetration. I mean, first of all, it's human nature to make these connections and feel these desires, but it's also human nature to feel your libido tank and vaginal dryness and leakage and pain during sex. I mean, these things, it's anatomy, it's science. It happens because of certain reasons. However, thank goodness we have our yoga practice and we have running water that we can use just that. If that's the only thing you practice to help you tap into your sexual self, then use that. That's amazing. That's a wonderful, good job, Tara. That's a
will say it was
wonderful
Can you do the
practice.
face again?
Yes, yes. It was definitely a practice. At first, I was kind of like, "Oh, here I am in the goddamn water. Like, how
Right.
sexy is this?"
Again,
Definitely not your sexy face right
And
now.
then after I got into it, it's like, "Oh, the water."
There it is.
water's sexy. And think about how it ties into your body and to that area. You said the word, Maria, flow. We have flow. We are flowy creatures. We dance, we move, we are sensual, right? We're women. But then sometimes we're like, oh no, I'm not going to do that for whatever reasons. But typically those reasons are in the mind. We're judging our bodies. We're judging ourselves. And then what comes from judgment? Perhaps some shame. And then we don't want perhaps to connect with this area or this activity or this energy because it triggers shame, because it triggers judgment. We're disappointed. We feel resentment for our body, but it's our freaking body.
Yeah.
It's our awesome, beautiful, amazing, fantastic, sacred body. And
by
so to
doing that-
disconnect is very unhealthy because that can lead to other issues.
Exactly. I was going to say, by doing that, we are fostering a, better self-image and all these things that many women struggle so much with. However, two things. One is, FYI, Tara, it's a water aerobics teacher, instructor, whatever. So now imagine if you bring to your water aerobics classes this sex, because it's all sexuality water aerobics class. That's
That's
one.
right.
And a different kind of class. Let's get some jumping
Yes,
jacks,
I
girl.
love. And number two,
I need some squats.
I'm envisioning a lot of creepy spectators on the side of the
no, it's just, well, anyway.
Ah,
The
I've
other
got
thing that I love t-shirts that have messages, and sometimes I make my own, like I order my own. I'm thinking of a t-shirt that says, I'm connected to my vulva.
There you go. Yes.
And at least
There's, first of all, there's a
That's a
lot
statement.
out there. You can probably find plenty. So Google that for
You gotta
sure.
get
There
one
are
for Elizabeth.
plenty of t-shirts out there about the vulva.
You'll always
Yes.
I want to promote the message of women connecting to their vulva way more. Connect with your sensuality, with your vulva, with your what.
Yes.
That's a good message. Those are
It's a
the-
very good message.
You
She
laugh,
says with
you laugh,
conviction.
but wait until because I think there's so much more behind this.
You buy the shirt,
Yes.
I will wear it.
True.
She's t-shirts, you're making like sexy water motions. And here I am in the middle of you both.
I love it. Julie, I've said
It's
it,
fantastic.
this message is way beyond this. So that's what I love about this episode. It goes beyond the yoga. It goes about connecting with yourself. And by doing that, you prevent so many other things that we already struggle with, prevent them from getting worse, and open up possibilities of, I feel like, lighten up areas of ourselves that are so important to keep living if we want to live rather
Yes.
than survive or just go through the day, with this
We gotta
down.
thrive.
We gotta thrive. And one way
Yes.
is to connect with all areas of yourself without judgment. And like you said, with vulnerability, which can be so healing
Yes.
for all of us to express our again, our vulnerability in a safe place. Julie, thank
Yes.
you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Loved having you on.
And
I've
said
loved being here.
before, I love having Julie in my life. I want more Julie in my life. You, like Elizabeth said at the beginning, you're one of those people that if anybody's having a bad day and then there's Julie, it's like, oh, okay, finally something good happened today. And it's
Yeah.
just
Aw.
chatting with Julie. And I'm sure you maybe know this, but you have that energy. So anybody out there who wants to try yoga with Julie or anything with Julie, you will not regret it. How can people find you on Instagram or your website and all your programs? Tell us.
www.stretchyourspirit.com. And I'm on Insta. I'm on Facebook. You can reach me at Stretch Your Spirit.
And
out
then
there.
the retreat is happening in May. Do you have any openings or you're sold out?
I do. I'm almost sold out, but I do have some openings. So you can find that info on my website, stretchyourspirit.com. Yep.
Yes.
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 Awesome. Thank you, Julie. We love you.
Love you.
I love you.
I love
Thank
you
you.
more than all of them. I love you more.
A lot of yes, very passionate today. That's Latina in her.
If you're local to the Annapolis area, join me on my new initiative, the Emotional Fitness Studio, a place where everyone can enjoy monthly in-person wellness workshops guided by different local providers and as affordable as only $10 per event. These interactive, wisdom-packed and empowering sessions will prove that taking care of our mental health doesn't have to be a tough nut to crack. Check out all the offerings and register on the events section on my website, thecoachingtherapist.com. Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara De Leon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.